Hello, my name's Katie and I'm here today to talk to you about healthy eating for this Learn New Skills Week. I have worked in the field of nutrition for many years, more than I care to remember, and definitely more than 10. I'm a nutritionist, I'm also a personal trainer and a running coach. I wear many hats. But here definitely with the nutrition hat on today. So I'm just going to give you a really brief introduction or overview of healthy eating. So yeah, here we go. I put a little presentation together, so bear with me while I do the technical bit. There we are. Okay, so beautiful picture of vegetables. So for people who know me and who have been in clinic with me, they will know that my favourite thing to say is eat more vegetables. So it felt very appropriate to put this picture on the first slide. So in the UK, we have the Eat Well Guide as our guide to healthy eating. You can look on the NHS website for this, or just Google it, it will come up. It's presented in the form of a plate. So in the green section, we've got our fruit and vegetables. They are there for your vitamins and minerals, basically. And it does say in tiny writing, which you may not be able to see on this, eat at least 5 portions of a variety of fruit and vegetables every day. Most people have heard about 5 a day. It's been around for years and years. There's various kind of chat about it, but 5+ a day is the ideal. In the yellow section on the right hand side, we've got starchy carbohydrates, so things like potatoes, cereals, pasta, rice, bread, those kind of things. They are there for carbohydrate, which is the stuff that gives you energy, basically. Down at the bottom in the pink section, we've got the protein. So the function of protein, or one of the functions of protein, is kind of muscle repair, but actually protein helps keep you feeling full as well. It takes a little bit of time to break down in the body. So that is your beans, pulses, fish, egg, meats, those kind of things. The blue section is the dairy and dairy alternative section. This is all about calcium. So the one nutrient that is good for your bones. So if you're drinking an alternative to milk, make sure it is the alternative, so it has been fortified with the calcium and the B vitamins as well. And the little purple sliver down at about bottom kind of right is your oils and spreads, so the fat that you're adding to your dinners. So it would be things like your margarine and butter that you put on your bread or in your sandwiches, or your oil that you use for cooking. So that's very much thinking about using it in a small amount. So what this is sort of saying as a visual guide is, if you took all of the food that you ate in a week and laid it out on a table and put it into these groups, in terms of proportions, it should look something like this. So you should have more fruit and veg and more starchy carbohydrates than anything else, really. Around the edge of the guide, there's a little bit extra information. So the top left, you've got just a reminder to check the labelling on packaged foods. Some manufacturers will use the green, amber, red system, so the traffic light system. Some don't. There's not a requirement to use it, so sometimes you do have to turn the packet over and have a good read of what's there. Really, you want to be trying to get things that are green if it does have the traffic light system, but less than 5 grams of sugar is a good guide, and then less than 17 grams of, or 17.5 grams of fat will give you green or amber on those ones. down on the bottom left, there's some little snacks there. So you've got in that picture biscuits, crisps, ice cream, cakes, sauces, those kind of things. They would come under the group of kind of processed foods and foods high in fat, salt and sugar. They are left off the plate purposefully. It just says underneath, eat less often and in small amounts. Actually, you could leave them completely out of your diet. It wouldn't do you any harm. So it's just being a little bit wary of those foods. And then top right, you've just got your drinks section. So 6 to 8 glasses a day. It equates to about 2 litres, 4 pints-ish. Water, lower fat milk, sugar-free drinks. Tea and coffee does count in there, because obviously that's mostly made with water. Careful on the fruit juice. There is a little thing that says there, fruit juices and smoothies. You can count them as one of your 5 a day, but you can only really count them once. It's better to eat the whole fruit. There's a little thing at the bottom which says about the average calories. I'm a little bit wary of calorie counting. You know, it says women 2,000 calories a day, men 2,500 calories a day. It's very much based on the average. It's based on the average physical activity level. Calorie counting can be quite hit and miss. So if you want to use it as a guide, that's fine, but there are better ways to do it. Here's some a little look at other countries' healthy eating guides. So lots of places do it differently, and the guidance is fairly similar, but it's not the same. So here we've got the United States food pyramid on the top left, and you can see that this again is broken down into the different food groups, and it's very similarly broken down in that style, although vegetables and fruit are separate to each other. So on the bottom you've got your starchy carbohydrates, your breads, pasta, rice, etc. It's saying 6 to 11 servings of those a day, but a lot of the time you'll have more than 1 serving in your meal, so it's not eating them 6 to 11 times a day. Next one up is your vegetables and your fruit, so 3 to 5 servings of veg and 2 to 4 servings of fruit. Next one up from that is very similar to our pink and blue sections on the Eat Well plate, so your dairy foods and your protein foods, and then right at the top of the pyramid is the fats and oils and sweets. So that's obviously the smallest amount that you can eat. Some people prefer the pyramid as a visual representation. It just works better for their brain. Others prefer the plate and looking at, you know, what might this actually look like if I sat and ate it at a mealtime. To the right of that, you've got the nutrition flag, which is the Thai version of the food pyramid. It's very similar in terms of what it's recommending, but it's upside down the other way. It's quite a nice kind of artistic way of displaying your healthy eating information. And again, the biggest group here is the grains. Slightly different grains picked out here, more corn and rice than in the US one. There's pasta and bread, and then your next one is vegetables, which is slightly bigger than fruit, but they're both on the next level. Dairy, protein, and then again fats and sugars right at the bottom. The bottom left on this slide is the EU food pyramid, and this is quite an interesting one. So actually this one has vegetable, salad and fruit at the bottom, so that they're saying that's what you should be eating the most of, and 5 to 7 portions, so that's slightly higher than our 5 a day. But as I said, 5 a day really is 5 plus a day. 5 a day should be your minimum. The next one up from that is cereals, bread, potato, pasta and rice again, but this time they've been specific about wholemeal cereals rather than any. Then they've got milk, yogurt and cheese as a bigger area than your meat, poultry, fish, eggs and beans and lentils. And then fat spreads and oils form the top of the pyramid that is all close together. And then the very top little triangle is the foods high in fat, salt and sugar, and that sits slightly away from the rest of the pyramid in terms of actually if you cannot eat this, that's better. And then again there's similar guidelines at the bottom around kind of calories and portions, a little bit about drinks and things as well. And then this bottom right one is quite a new one, and this is actually my favourite. This is the one from Canada. So this is actually showing you, I've got it bigger here, showing you what your plate might look like again, but it's rather than drawings of the food, it's actual pictures of actual real food. So I quite like that. It's also really good as a visual for what your plate might look like at your dinner times, so your lunch and evening meal particularly, perhaps not breakfast, although there's nothing wrong with eating something in these proportions at breakfast time. So really half a plate of fruit and veg, or veg and fruit we should say, so plenty of vegetables and fruits going in during the day. A quarter of your plate would have your protein. So in the kind of specifics of this, they're talking about eating a lot of plant-based protein as well as meat. So really looking at trying to get beans and pulses into the diet as well. There's also a little kind of offshoot saying maybe have nuts as a snack. Obviously not if you have a nut allergy, but otherwise all good. The final quarter of your plate is your starchy carbohydrates again, but again they're being very specific, saying choose whole grain for these. So in reality what that means is if you're having bread, it should be wholemeal or with kind of grains in it as well, like a granary, whole wheat pastas, brown rice or wild rice, things like quinoa and stuff as well. So using the whole grains, and some of the reason for this is to increase fibre, which is really important for gut health and for squashing everything through and coming out the other end basically. But also having the whole grain foods, they take a little bit longer to break down, so you're going to feel fuller for longer, so you're not going to overeat. And then on your top right you've got make water the drink of your choice, so very much focusing on water as the preferred beverage rather than any others. So yeah, I think this is a really nice guide for as I said, for meal time. So if you can have a lunch and a dinner that comes in these kind of proportions, and obviously if you're making something like a curry or a stew, if you can kind of visualize it broken down before you have it. So if it's got loads of veg in it already, maybe the actual veg you add to your plate is going to be a little bit less. But yeah, if you can have half veg and a quarter protein and a quarter grains and your starchy carbohydrates, you're going to be well on the way to a pretty healthy meal really. Just wanted to put in a little word about the blue zones as well. So the blue zones are regions of the world where people live much longer than average. A guy called Dan Brentner did a big study for the National Geographic back in 2005, but has continued to study these regions afterwards. So it's definitely worth having a look at. It's a really interesting piece of work. He looked at, so they are kind of spread all around the world, and they're seemingly in very different areas of the world as well. So you have one in America, one Costa Rica, one in Italy, one in Japan, and he just looked at, okay, so there's these places where people are living well into their hundreds, and why is this, and how come there are so many centenarians in those areas? So he looked at their whole lifestyles. Some of this was food related, but obviously there was a kind of wider piece to it. So what he found was that in these areas, what they had in common was strong family connections, not a lot of smoking, semi-vegetarianism. So most of their diets were coming from plants. However, where they did eat meat, they ate good quality meat and they didn't eat it very often. They had constant moderate physical activity. So what that means is not that they were not necessarily going to the gym, but they would always be walking to the shops, or they wouldn't have lots of energy saving devices in the home. They would always be kind of on the go, but not at a really kind of high stressful level, but just generally they'd easily be getting their 10,000 steps a day. They also had a good level of social engagement, so they had connections within their communities and good networks. Another eating one was that they all ate some kind of legumes quite a lot, so pulses, so your kind of butter beans and lentils and chickpeas, things like that. And alcohol consumption was moderate, so there was no crazy binge drinking in these areas, and consumption of alcohol was more occasional for, you know, a birthday or a religious festival or something like that, rather than a regular every week because it's Friday or Saturday. So yeah, if you're interested in having a look at this, have a look at bluezones.com, because it's really interesting, and also there are some lovely recipes on that website as well, so definitely worth a look if only for that. So just as a sort of summary, really, in terms of your healthy eating, you know, all of the government advice from the different areas of the world does have quite a lot of stuff in common. We're looking at kind of whole foods and minimal processing, so you want to be really, as much as possible, making your own meals, cooking from scratch or near to, you know, and again, that's as much as possible. We've got to be realistic in life, we can't do it all of the time, but it's, you know, you want to try and avoid ultra processed food. Various reasons for that, but you know, partly for gut health, partly for preservatives that are in there, and partly for the fact that it won't keep you feeling as full, because some of the processing means that almost it's been kind of pre-digested before you eat it, so your body doesn't have to work very hard. Every country had lots of vegetables recommended. As I said at the beginning, I think I am well known for being the kind of cheer squad for vegetables. So if you are not a fan of vegetables, I would really recommend looking into some of the recipes that hide vegetables in them, so you can't necessarily taste what's in there. So there's like 5 and 7 vegetable pasta sauces and things like that. I think Jamie Oliver does quite a good one. It's definitely worth eating a really good variety of veg, because you're going to get lots of different vitamins and minerals, and that's you know, we need all of the vitamins and minerals for our bodies to function well. Regular meal times are important, so trying to eat, if you are a 3 meals a day person, you know, eat them at similar times of the day, and that is whether it's a work day or a non-work day or a weekday or the weekend. It is trying to keep to those regular times. Your body will thank you for it, and your body will adapt to those regular times, and it just keeps your blood sugars a little bit balanced as well. Also, having a little routine around meal times is great. If you can eat with others, if you have others in your household, obviously it's tricky at this current time to be kind of inviting people in and things, but eating with others has been shown to be really beneficial. Whether you're with others or not, if sitting at a table is good practice, and that helps facilitate mindful eating. So basically what we're meaning is that when you are eating your meals, you are thinking about what you're eating and what you're doing. You're not watching telly or looking at your phone or any other distractions while you're eating. What this means is that you're kind of connecting in with your meal time for a start, but also that you'll notice whether you're full more quickly, and that you won't have that feeling of like, oh, where did all that go? Hang on a minute. You know, we eat with our eyes and our brains and everything as well. you know, we can all think of a time where we've been watching a film or watching the telly and we've just kind of been snacking and snacking and snacking, and suddenly the whole bag of whatever we've been snacking on is gone and we don't even remember eating half of it. You know, you probably, if you'd been thoughtful about it, you no way would have eaten the whole packet. So, you know, really good to be thinking about what you're doing around food. It will help. Definitely in terms of you know, if you have any kind of issues around eating, and if you tend to be an emotional eater, it's good to look at these whys and why you're eating, because I think everyone has quite a good idea of what to eat. There's a lot of information out there about very kind of the real minutiae, and there's loads of different diets and fad diets and all sorts of things that you could follow, but actually general healthy eating is relatively simple. So if you still struggle with that, it's definitely worth looking into the why you're eating, because if you can drill down into the why, the what does somewhat follow. Just a quick little advert, I suppose. So in terms of what I can offer, if you do want a little bit of help around your eating, I can do one-off consultations where we look at your current diet, and I say that in meaning what you're eating as opposed to being on a diet. Look at maybe anywhere where there might be nutrient deficiencies, look at how you'd like to change it, and then just talk to you about how that might work, and then send you a report afterwards detailing exactly what we've discussed in the consultation, so you'll have something to refer back to. And that might be that might include a meal plan, that might include specific goals. It's really very centered on whatever we talk about in the consultation. If you wanted a regular consultation, so for example, if you wanted to lose weight or gain weight, or kind of look at, really kind of dig into your eating habits, I can do that, and take measurements if that's appropriate to what you're trying to do. Obviously, as a personal trainer, I can also give you bespoke exercise programs. So again, we can do a one-off consultation looking at your own strength and balance and those kind of things, and put together a little home-based workout for you. Or we can do one-to-one outdoor sessions, or we can do online sessions. There's lots and lots of options. I also run online fitness classes, and I'm really, really hoping to be going back to face-to-face ones next year. So watch this space, I suppose. If you're interested in any of that, you can drop me an email. It's kcrcoaching@gmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook, which is KCR Coaching Portsmouth. You should be able to just search for that and that will come up. Thank you for listening to my little whistle-stop tour through this healthy eating, well, I was going to say minefield, because it really can be sometimes, but actually, you know, the basics are there, and if you can follow the basics and get the basics right 80% of the time, you are completely on track for doing the right stuff. Hopefully you're going to learn lots of other nice new skills in this learn new skills week. So really take the opportunity and have a look what else is out there, and yeah, just enjoy. Again, thanks for listening, and hopefully I can help you again in the future.